Hey, what's up, Minnesota Viking fans? Welcome to the Purple People Podcast. It is it's Monday, September 7th. I'm Kyle Smith. I'm joined by Kyle West.
Hey, Vikings football is in 6 days?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that handsome fella on the bottom there, that's Adam Carlson. What's up, dude?
My green screen camera is not liking my hair today, so it's going to be a little wild, but it should be fun anyway.
This is episode number 405 of Purple People Podcast called Cheesy Does It, because we're going to open up the season against the Green Bay Packers. The Vikings are going to host them this coming Sunday at 12 Central, 1 Eastern. Football's here, guys. This is an exciting time of the year.
Yeah, and this weekend was a crazy one. What with cut day and practice squad and all that stuff. It's coming.
Ryan Denny's, it really is football. And I'm even going to stay up Thursday to watch the Chiefs host. I think Patrick Mahomes is a generational quarterback. And I'm really excited to watch Deshaun Watson, who, just because we're talking football, we can bring that up. That Kirk Cousins deal doesn't look so bad now after all, does it? It's crazy to me.
Better
the
and
amount
better.
Of money. The amount
Two
of money that
quarterbacks the Bears passed on for Trubisky.
Oh. Yeah, I'm sure they're loving that. And Trubisky's been named the starter from what I read online, which is insane.
He has.
Yeah,
So he might light it up, might prove me wrong and make my joke look silly, but who knows?
I just
Probably
don't
not.
understand. I don't understand how that
happen.
works. But I like the decision. Nick Foles against the Vikings scares me now, so that's kind of annoying. Skull Prod says, Yannick. That's right, man. We're going to see him live and in purple this coming Sunday. I can't wait to watch that. Yeah, it's football here, guys. We're going to talk this week about the 53-man roster. We're going to talk about that first, and then we're going to run down the schedule, all three of us, and see what we come up with as far as a prediction for the season.
Undefeated.
Yeah, I don't see a loss anywhere here, actually.
Nope.
It's weird how that works. No,
Okay, Paul Allen.
Yeah, we're gonna keep it honest here. I believe we're gonna have some discussions on different games. I don't think we're gonna get all these. Even if we get the record right, I think there's gonna be some games that some of us say, I don't think so.
Guys,
Yeah.
this year in particular is so weird. Just with COVID and everything else, the condensed off season, it could be an absolute shit show league-wide on Sunday with just teams looking woefully unprepared. This is maybe the most difficult I've had sitting down and doing a win-loss prediction because I have no idea how to gauge how this season is going to go. And plus, as we'll get into the 53-man roster, this Vikings team looks drastically different than what it did last year. We have a whole bunch of new names and new places on this team. And shifty eyebrows from Adam.
You're right, man. I think. Oh, good lord! You got to send me
Whoa.
share on live on
Easy
YouTube. Yeah, this is gonna be a weird year. You're right. Without the crowd noise, with the fake crowd noise, without fans being there for now. I did see, like I said last week, I'm trying to go to the Houston game where they host the Vikings in week 4, and they're still going to try to do a sale on those at the end of the month. For now, I'm not sure if it's still going to be open, but it's just,
Who knows?
I don't know. It's weird. We'll see how it progresses. If things just sort of die down and they start letting fans in, it'll be somewhat normal. But I think this is one of those years where we can have not really a reset, but a throwback to running the damn football, like the Niners did last year, because things are going to be really weird. Teams haven't had any preseason games, which the players are for, but there's going to be a lot of rust, especially in that first quarter of football, those first 4 games. And I wouldn't be surprised to see teams that we thought were going to be terrible have a really good first quarter, and teams that we thought were going to be hot and start off on fire come out 500, starting into middle October.
My prediction, the first 4 weeks of this season are going to be just tune-up games that count. Tune-up games that count towards whether or not you're going to make the playoffs. It's an odd season this year, but every team is in the same situation, so I guess that makes it fair league-wide. We will see who's prepared and who's not prepared come Sunday.
Absolutely.
Nobody's prepared. Nobody.
Kirk Cousins is prepared.
He's prepared to
No, he's
die
not.
if need be.
He's prepared to die from coronavirus, Adam. He has became Pat McAfee's new favorite quarterback because of that saying.
Yeah.
Pat absolutely loves Kirk Cousins for that.
Well, I love that he gave
primetime
him the
Kirk.
credit that he needed for that too, where he said, "Kirk said I'm going to wear the mask. Care about I'll do what I can for
Right.
others, but for me, he's like, if I die, he's like, I think Kirk Cousins is a little bit of a savage." And I just laughed and went, "Oh, Pat,
I
you're
love
not
it.
a true Viking fan because there's not a savage bone in Kirk Cousins."
I don't know. I just think that's a really dumb statement considering he's got a young family and little kids and obligations. I don't know.
I think I'm not going to read into it that much. That's where I stand on it.
What's up, Sergio? Can't wait to see which one of the new faces. Well, tell us which one. Tell us which one of the either newly acquired or newly drafted Vikings you think are going to be a star player.
I think we're all excited for Justin Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a name that I go to right away. I want to see what he can do for Minnesota.
I'm very excited to watch Yannick Ngakoue this Sunday. I want to see
Yeah, me too.
7, 8, 9 sacks Sunday. That would make my life better. Let's assuming Danielle Hunter is going to play.
You want him
Sunday.
to get 7 to 9 sacks in one game? That's lofty expectations.
Yeah, yeah, bold predictions here. I remember my
get 9 sacks in one.
Jaleel Johnson.
I think that if they could have a game like the one lone Viking game I got to see where Cam Newton went down a bunch of times, that would be a lot of fun. But that's assuming that Danielle Hunter is going to play Sunday. Mike Zimmer gave a sort of positive quote about it, either yesterday or today. I don't remember the date, but he said, we hope that he will be. We'll see. So,
So remember what time of year we're in. This is Mike Zimmer live media season. So take nothing he says with a bit of truth behind it. Justin Jefferson is playing wide receiver.
He is. I have
We'll
that
talk
right in
about
front of me
the
here
chart.
on the unofficial depth chart. And I guess we could just go ahead and start there, and I'll start it off. 2 quarterbacks, Kirk Cousins. For some crazy reason, Sean Mannion is still on a team.
I don't get the Mannion thing. I really don't.
No, the Josh Rosen was out there,
fan.
and he got acquired for the Bucks. I don't know if he's going on their practice squad or he'll be.
He is on their practice squad.
The Vikings should have made an attempt there. I don't understand that at all.
He's never thrown an NFL touchdown. Sean Mannion.
Yeah, that's crazy. And what did we just talk about yesterday or today? Josh McCown is 41, and he signed, and he's back up for the Eagles. He's won a ton of games. He's thrown a lot of touchdowns. I mean,
he's on their practice squad. He doesn't even have to go to Philly. He gets to stay at home in Texas and get paid for it.
Yeah,
he does.
$12,000 a week. $12,000 a week.
Yeah,
so
$12,000 a week.
Crappy. Just make it worse. Look up what Josh McCown's doing. That's pretty awesome. But yeah, 2 quarterbacks.
That's awesome.
Kirk Cousins, obviously the starter. Backing up Kirk Cousins is Sean Mannion. Moving on to running back, Dalvin Cook is obviously the starter. They kept 4 running backs this year: Alexander Madison, Amir Abdullah, and Mike Boone. So this stays pretty much the same from last year.
Yeah, no real surprise there.
Don't forget about Mr. Ham.
Right here, fullback, the one and only C.J. Ham. Very excited that he's still with the team. He does a great job and contributes a lot more than he gets credit for.
Right.
And
really
this
does.
is where it starts to get interesting, folks. Adam Thielen and B.C. Johnson are your starters, and your backup wide receivers are Justin Jefferson, a man Tajay Sharp, Chad Beebe, ? Dan Chisena, and KJ Osborne.
I like KJ. I'm a big fan of him. He's got all the potential in the world. I'm excited to see
I've been
what he'll
saying
be
for a
able
long
to do.
time that he's going to be the return man for the Vikings. So I'm
And
glad
Adam
that that's the case.
Adam is absolutely correct. So he is actually the kick and punt return starter. The backup being Amir Abdullah for kicks, and then backups Beebe and Hughes for punts. So
I was just going to say, what are they keeping Chad Beebe around if they've kind of got the kick and punt return?
He's the backup punt returner.
Backup punt
And the
return?
backup holder.
See.
Oh, that's right. Gotcha.
That weird cryptic stuff that Kubiak said was actually true, I guess. Maybe question mark.
Yeah.
Then they do want to see what he can do when he's healthy. So this might be
Yeah.
like a
He's
last
got the
chance thing for him if he can prove he can stay on the
Mhm.
field. But yeah, it's an interesting wide receiver grouping, and Justin Jefferson at wide receiver 3 shouldn't be a big shock because the Vikings did draft him to be a slot receiver, and we're going to see him in the slot a
Uh-huh.
lot this year. So yeah, the fact that BC Johnson's going to be on the outside while Justin Jefferson basically plays mostly slot reps, that shouldn't be a surprise.
Yeah.
I think
I'm really
I think
excited for. Go ahead, Kyle. Sorry.
no, that's okay. You can go. I'll finish when you're done.
I'm really excited to see Adam Thielen and BC Johnson kind of doing their thing on the outside, which is kind of not what you remember from these guys to start. You see Adam Thielen make double moves and he's shifty in the slot, but that's what you kind of brand him as, or at least my brain brands him as. But this is kind of a role reversal thing, and I think that's going to take some teams off guard. BC Johnson showing up and having a lovely camp and solidifying for now wide receiver 2. That's pretty awesome. That's a great thing to see. That means the Vikings drafted well at receiver, which is what we all as fans want to see. But I think this is a good way to start the season. Justin Jefferson in the slot to get him a good introduction. You don't have to worry about him, blazing by everybody. Just get in there and catch some third downs for us and just do your thing, because he did it all when he was at LSU. But I'm very excited to see him, and he's ahead of Sharp, BB, and the other 2 guys. So that's a good sign.
Dan Chisena is a speedster, and we should have known that he had a good chance of making the roster when the Vikings started moving him around just to see if he could fit places. They moved him to corner, they moved him to safety, they moved him back to wide receiver. They were trying to find anywhere that they could keep him. And the reason they're keeping him is not for being a wide receiver, but he will be the special teams gunner. So what we're going to have is basically we've got 3 wide receivers here on the list for the backups that are basically special teams guys.
Yeah.
But, of course, they might be able to contribute on offense too. Who knows?
Well,
You also have
special
that in running
teams.
backs from Amir Abdullah as well. He's a big special teams guy.
You got to have those core special teams players like that to succeed. It's a whole, the third phase of the game is special teams. I just wanted to say really quick that I think Oda BC Johnson is in a good position this year to get some more reps and prove himself. So I'm excited to see what he does with the larger role that he's going to have on the team this year.
Ryan Denny says, hopefully BB didn't lose his step. His skills were impressive. Yeah, he's got good acceleration. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. That was the thing that we were talking about just 5 minutes ago. Gary Kubiak said if he can find a way to stay healthy, he'll find a spot on an NFL roster, and he does this year, at least for the start of the season. So that's really cool. Another thing, I'm trying to look here. I was going to make a couple.
Tajay Sharp made it.
My boy Tajay Sharp, I really wanted him for some weird, I can't really put my finger on it, reason to make the team, and he did. This also says a lot, too, kind of piggybacking on the BC Johnson thing. Just, he got thrown into the mix last year when Adam Thielen went down, and he did okay. Nothing that was going to blow you away, but you're like, okay, there could be a seed to be planted here. But I'm really excited about that. There's been a lot of question about the corners and 2. We'll go over that in a little bit because I was kind of happy to see who was starting at corner and who was going to be playing backup roles. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to go back and talk about running backs because we can kind of tie this into the roster and what we were just talking about with special teams. Former Viking running back Adrian Peterson is signed to the Detroit Lions. If you guys didn't hear about that, it's going to be really weird to see him in that uniform. And a lot of Viking fans.
I just like that.
Yeah, I don't like that at all. I don't like it. I think it's cool that he played now where Barry Sanders played, but he's just trying to pay off his bills and continue to pile on the record books. We get it. But he did not come back to Minnesota, and it's because of what you guys were talking about. What can he provide at special teams at his age? And I don't think he's ever done that in his career, maybe 1 or 2 seasons. So it's been a while, and he's not going to be the starter. He's not even going to be the backup here. So for you guys that didn't know why did the Vikings bring Adrian Peterson back? He wasn't going to do anything.
And in Detroit, Adrian Peterson is going to have a chance to beat the career numbers of Barry Sanders in carries and yards. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm a big Adrian Peterson fan. Of course, when they play Minnesota, I don't want to see him do well, but I would still like to see him have success. It helps him out, for making the Hall of Fame later on down the line. The more success he can have now, so I still think he can do. He can still be productive as a player. I just don't necessarily know as he gets older. Adrian has always been a back that you have to feed him a lot of touches. He'll go for 3 yards, 5 yards, -2 yards, and then he'll pop one for 80. The older Adrian gets, the less of the chance to pop an 80-yard touchdown run that he takes to the house. And so you get left with 3 yards, 5 yards, 2 yards. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that Lions offensive line has not been good for helping out running backs. They have been struggling the last couple seasons to establish any running game at all. So it'll be tougher for Adrian Peterson there than a team that actually has a decent run blocking offensive line.
He's going to be motivated. He's going to be motivated when he comes to Minnesota.
So. Oh, sure.
He's going to be happy to not be running the football on that Washington football field.
The same one where he tore his knee out. That's terrible.
That's why he went to a dome, I bet. He's like, nope, not doing that.
I don't blame him one bit. The division too, so it's cool for him. I just wanted to throw that in there because maybe not all of us are fans after what happened between the three of us or the people who watch the show. But he's a Viking legend. He'll definitely go, I think, in the Ring of Honor at least at a minimum. And last year, he had like 800 something yards, like north to 900 yards. So he can still put up numbers, which I think is ultimately what he's trying to do is to get in the Hall of Fame. But I also think that it's monetarily driven. The guy is so bad at debt that he needs any money that he can get. So shout out to Adrian Peterson. Good for you for still continuing your career. You can catch 2 L's when you play the Vikings this year, though. Tight end.
Hey, at least it's not Green Bay. At least he didn't go to Green Bay. That would have been awful. Absolutely awful.
There though, because I'm sure he'd love to play with Rodgers, but he's never going to have time behind Aaron Jones. At least Detroit's just going to be awful all around, so they can just be like, we'll give it to AP this game. Tight end, nothing changed from last year. Kyle Rudolph is your starter still. He is the longest tenured Viking now. I think he's been on the team for 10 years. Might be his 10th or 11th season, which is awesome. Backups Irv Smith Jr. and Tyler Conklin. Glad to see that all those guys came back. Really excited for the year that Irv Smith could have. There's a lot of sneaky pass catchers on this team. Really excited
He's
about
got potential. We hear so much about Irv Smith. Let's see it translate more onto the field this season. I think that's the goal for him. Let's see what you can do.
Papa Reagan.
Here's where it gets interesting. Oof. Offensive line. Left tackle is Riley Reif. Left guard, Dakota Dozier. Center, Garrett Bradbury. Right guard, Pat Elflein. And right tackle, Brian O'Neill. As of right now, these are your starters on the offensive line. I'm just going to say it, and I don't mean this to take away from the Vikings at all because I like all of these guys. This screams average to me. They need to, definitely do some upgrading in the next couple of years for the offensive line, but hopefully Bradbury can have an improvement from last year. He was kind of up and down. I don't know how the hell Pat Elflein is still a starter, but there's your answers to who's going to play left guard, everyone. Dakota Dozier.
When I look at this list, I see a group that's going to be good run blockers. Mm-hmm. But I do see a group that is going to be below average when it comes to pass protection. I completely whiffed by saying that Ezra Cleveland would have a spot on the offensive line. They have him as the backup for Riley Reif, so I don't know what their plans are for Ezra Cleveland. They drafted him a little high to sit him, in my opinion, but maybe he needs a little extra time. I don't know. I didn't get to see a lot of the practices, so us fans here at home on the couch sometimes are left out of what goes on the field, so we don't know what's happening there. But yeah, this offensive line formation, I got them all except the left guard. I don't even know why they really didn't open the competition to Ezra Cleveland at left guard. Maybe they see him as a strict tackle. I don't know. That's the way the depth chart makes it look. So that could very well be the case. And it is kind of funny that Aviante Collins, the guy that Dakota Dozier was fighting for with the left guard spot, that he ended up getting released and put on the practice squad.
That was exactly where I was going. One of the familiar faces, all the way back to the 96 questions B-Rob days, Aviante Collins, not making his way to the final 53. He's been on the team for a little while, so still technically with the team, but not one of the starters. That's kind of weird. But as Adam had mentioned, backups will be Rashad Hill, Ezra Cleveland, Drew Samia, and Oli Udo. So those are your backup offensive linemen.
I don't think it's a matter of if. I think it's a matter of when Ezra Cleveland finds his way into the lineup for the Vikings on the offensive line. It's going to happen. I don't know why he wasn't named the starter for Week 1. Like you said, we don't. This year in particular, we don't know nothing because there's no preseason. We don't get a chance to really see any of that and see how players are playing. So I wonder if it's just a matter of being a rookie and them just wanting to put faith in guys who maybe have a little more experience. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. Pat Elflein is also listed as a backup center for Garrett Bradbury, and I expected that Brett Jones would be one of those players that would make the roster to be a backup. But like Collins, he was released and made it onto the practice squad, despite being an NFL veteran. Those weird NFL rules for the practice squad this year sure threw a lot of people for a loop.
Yeah, could you explain that to guys, Adam? Because I'm still unfamiliar a little bit, and I know we were talking about it in the chat amongst ourselves.
There are no rules this year. You can do whatever you want with the practice squad.
Kind of. But this year's practice squad got extended to 16 players. 4 of those players can be protected so that they cannot be poached by other teams and put onto their rosters. Now, the rules for what players are eligible for the practice squad changed dramatically as well. Before, it used to be, I think, players with under 3 years of service could be put on the practice squad. And this year, that rule went out the window, and we saw 40-year-old quarterbacks signed to the practice squad in the NFL. So
41.
It's absolutely weird to see some of these rules that are in place just to kind of help the team hold on to these players and have more time to evaluate the players, some of the players that they want to see more from. It's good for teams, but it's also bad for teams. And I think that this is almost going to be as important as the 2021 NFL draft, because that 21 NFL draft is going to be really, really weird considering the NCAA football season and the players from college that are already declaring. They get more time to evaluate these players and treat them like they're new draft picks rather than have these players that they haven't really been able to look at for a year. I don't know. The practice squad this year, it's as important as ever.
I actually like what they did with the practice squad because for the first time, doesn't it kind of feel relevant? Like this is an important part of the team instead of like, here's our handful of guys that we care about, but we really don't care about that much.
Quarterback number 4 that is magically better according to Vikings Twitter than our starter.
Oh God. You went there.
Dude, that's Kyle, that's such a good point. I'm not meaning to interrupt you. I just have to give you credit.
No.
I've never gave a flying shit about the practice squad until Adam goes, hey, you can lock up 4 of these guys and you don't have to worry about that 3-year minimum anymore. I'm like, well, I want to know now who are the guys that they locked up because these are the ones that the Vikings deem most important. These are your leftovers that you can't lose. And I find that very interesting because I'm a nerd about this. But that's a great point.
I like the way they removed the age limit because it's I don't know, it's kind of cool the way Philadelphia went ahead and put who was the quarterback they put on? Josh McCown.
Yeah.
Josh McCown. I kind of like the way they're like, well, we want you just in case, so we're like retaining your rights. We're retaining the rights for him. That way, no other team can. So like that's. I like that. That's an interesting part of the game, and an interesting part of the chess match that is setting up your roster. That's kind of cool.
And the Vikings went the exact opposite way of that. They've got 2 young quarterbacks.
Yeah.
They got Jake Browning and your boy, what's his name at Iowa?
Nate Stanley.
Nate Stanley. They took both those quarterbacks on their practice squad with no veterans, so past the 2 that are on the roster, it might be a little scary. Past the 1, I guess, it might be a little scary.
We should sign Brett. Hey, let's sign Brett Favre to the practice squad.
I want him to get some random quarterback that hasn't played in let's call Kurt Warner and be like, hey, dude, can you be quarterback number 5? We'll give you $10,000 a week. You know how to turn around and hand it off to Dalvin Cook better than Sean Mannion does.
Dante Culpepper. What are you up to, Dante?
There you go. John Young he's just doing the smooth transition for us. We're going to talk about that right here in about 30 seconds. So I want
you wouldn't be shocked about the defensive line 11 being kept if you'd have read my roster prediction.
Before we go to the
plug over on the Viking Age.
Yeah, no shit, right? That's a great plug. Roster notes, and this is from Vikings.com, and this is posted today. All 11 starters were on the Vikings in 2019. Dakota Dozier won the starting left guard job in camp, beating out Avion Collins, who is now on the practice squad. And this is just fluff to make you feel better, but Minnesota has 5 offensive starters who have made at least 1 Pro Bowl in their career. Cousins, Cook, Ham, Thielen, and Rudolph. Johnson is a starter at wide receiver opposite Thielen, but Jefferson is expected to be a contributor as a first-round rookie. Well, yeah, we kind of assumed that, but cool little nuggets that the Vikings wanted to throw in there for roster notes. But as John Young says, let's talk about the D-line because this is going to be quite a different look from what we were used to seeing. Starters on defensive end are Danielle Hunter and Yannick Ngakoue. The backups would be Afadi Odenigbo, Jalen Holmes, Eddie Yarbrough, and DJ Wanham. It's quite a list.
I did not think they were going to release DJ Wanham just because that guy looks like a pass rusher. He's like a Danielle Hunter clone.
Yep.
And I can just see Mike Zimmer wanting to develop him and make him a pass rushing monster. So, yeah, that's no surprise for me. Jalen Holmes swapped from defensive tackle to defensive end, so he'll be a pass rusher this year. We know the Vikings like him, especially to insert him in the middle of the defensive line as a situational pass rusher. So we might see some more of that. Of course, Afidi Odenigbo was going to be the starter before Ngakoue got his shipment to Minnesota. I still don't really understand Eddie Yarbrough, though. That's the one for the defensive ends that I don't really get.
I don't know too much about him. I'm going to second what you said about DJ Wanham. I'm going to go a little further just because I haven't made a bold take and prediction in a long time. If for whatever reason, and I don't want this to happen because I absolutely love this pair of Hunter and Ngakoue, if one of those guys decides that they want more money and they leave, if DJ Wanham pans out, he's going to be a monster. Who did he play opposite of? Because he's from South Carolina. I cannot remember. One of the really, really huge – he went, I think, first round this year. He played opposite of that guy at South Carolina. DJ Wanham is a monster, and he's going to be another Danielle Hunter project. So there's my bold prediction. I haven't given you one of those in a while. But if one of those
I like it.
superstar defensive ends decides they want more money and they want to go out and test free agency or get traded or whatever, that could be your guy that's next up. For what the Vikings can't do in drafting like all-star wide receivers or quarterbacks, they sure as hell know how to draft a defensive end. So
that's true.
Yeah.
There you go. Defensive tackle. This is where it's kind of weird for me, and I said it last week, but I'm going to say it again. You watch the John Randall, A Football Life. They talked about how small the Vikings D-line was in the NFL. I'd like to see, minus the ogre man-child that is Danielle Hunter, how small the Vikings defensive line is now because guys like Michael Pierce and Linval Joseph that aren't on the team or opted out, I feel like these guys are a little bit smaller than average. I think they have one of the smaller defensive lines in the league. But
Jaleel Johnson's a big fella.
The starters here, Shamar Stephen, Jaleel Johnson. And I'm really excited that they kept Armon Watts, Hercules Mataafa, and James Lynch.
Forgot about Hercules
last year.
Right. Hercules Mataafa. Who all forgot about him? Hey, he's back healthy. Let's see what he can do.
Get a
When he was
little
on the
taste.
field last year, he was
Yeah.
disrupting quite a bit because I don't
Right.
think offensive linemen can get low enough.
Yeah.
I don't think they're used to getting that low. And James Lynch, I love James Lynch. I know
Yes.
that he's not going to see the field a lot this year, but I think he can develop into a really good defensive tackle, a pass rushing defensive tackle. So I'm really glad they didn't expose him to waivers because I think they would have lost him.
And Armand for what? I love that name so much. You could turn that into a hip hop song. No, I like this. I like this rotation. I'm not going to lie. I was very sad when Michael Pierce opted out. We're not mad at him because of his reasoning. We just wanted to see him play this year as fans.
Right on.
But this seems like a really good squad that they have. I see the potential here. Now, whether it be growing pains, sure. But I like the two ends for sure, superstars. And if these guys can just live up to part of the expectation at defensive tackle, nose tackle, they're going to be great. And with Dom Capers coming in, it's another sneaky little pick that we haven't talked a lot about this offseason. I'm sure they can find weird ways to get after the quarterback. So
I think this
Now
is
the
going to be the
Vikings are
strength
really
of
hot
the
on
Vikings
Shamar
on
Stephen.
defense. Yeah.
And I don't really understand why they're so high on Shamar Stephen, because last year he didn't really impress me too much. But this year they really need Stephen and Jaleel to be run stuffers. If they can stuff the run while allowing Hunter and Ngakoue to go after the quarterback, this defense is going to be very successful, even with a secondary that is a little depleted and
Unproven.
inexperienced.
I'm really excited for the squad. This is what the Vikings are known for, though. Historically, especially the front seven, they're gonna be awesome again. And speaking of going into the linebacking core, Anthony Barr, Eric Kendricks, and Eric Wilson all come back. The backups are going to be a new face in Troy Dye and Ryan Connolly, who they acquired from the Giants. So that's kind of cool. They wrote an article enough about Vikings.com to talk about Ryan Connolly. So he must be kind of important. I'm excited to see what he can do and rotate in. But linebackers, I love all three of these guys. So
Ryan
good.
Connolly was a very surprise cut from the Giants this year. The fact that they let him go after being very productive when healthy and then having an ACL tear is surprising, because if he comes back 80% of the player he was in New York, he will be an excellent player if he even gets inserted into the starting lineup. He's one to keep an eye on, because if he's healthy, he is a monster.
Yeah, I saw it when they put out an article, and I'm probably the least as far as smarts go on this show between the three of these hosts. Probably the least smart of football knowledge of all these guys. When they put out an article about a guy you pick up that just got cut, it's like, it must be kind of a big deal. So I'm really excited to see if he gets playing time, what he does.
Yeah, he was a starter for the Giants before his injury.
Kind of cool.
Meanwhile, Ben Gideon starts the season on the PUP list. He won't be eligible to play for the first 6 games, but he can come back. And, of course, they have to bump a player off the 53 to come back if he does. But that's something to kind of keep an eye on, considering that they only did keep 5 linebackers. But typically, the teams only keep 6 linebackers or more for special teams purposes. And we saw the Vikings load up at wide receiver for their special teams players. So the roster looks kind of unbalanced.
Yeah, especially when we get further down and now we're in the secondary, because we're going to leave safeties for last because they're the last on the list. We got some questions there. Cornerback is completely different from anything that you saw last year. Your starters are Mike Hughes and Holton Hill. Trey Waynes and Xavier Rhodes last season, they are gone and shipped out. But I like this combination. Holton Hill must be doing damn good if he's one of the starters. We saw a couple times over the last couple of years where he's been all right and he's stepped up. Not really sure. I wasn't too sure of him because of what was he? He was a later round pick for a corner. Was it off the field stuff they got him?
He was an undrafted free agent, I believe.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. It's like I remember him going either very late or, now that you said undrafted free agent, there we go.
And he got some suspensions for drugs, performance-enhancing drugs, and, of course, marijuana stuff. But
The good
Just
Yeah,
throw the pot out the window. That don't count anymore.
Thank God that's not an
Yeah.
issue anymore.
the
good
Vikings
thing
were
here,
very
too-
patient with Holton Hill, and when you
Yeah.
show that much talent, the team will be a little bit more lenient with you. That's for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
The cool thing here about Mike Hughes is he tore his ACL, his rookie season, and then he was a little banged up last year with the neck injury. So now he's going to have a chance to be completely healthy. And a season removed from the year after an ACL is usually pretty telling. Not everybody's Adrian Peterson, who can come back 8 months later and just be a machine.
No one is Adrian Peterson in terms of recovering from an injury.
They should talk about that season 50 years from now and how absurd that was. That was crazy.
Yeah.
But Mike Hughes should be healthy. Holton Hill is impressive. Backups are Jeff Gladney. He hasn't made a lot of noise in camp because he had something wrong with his knee as well, so he's still recovering. Cameron Dantzler had a pretty good start to camp. Fizzled out a little bit, but I really like that kid. Chris Boyd and Harrison Hand will round up the backups for cornerback.
Chris Boyd played well
Harrison
last year and
Hand.
got some opportunities.
And Harrison Hand has my favorite name for a cornerback. Just ever. Who doesn't want a quarterback whose last name is Hand? Come on.
Well,
Well, we got
that's
two
perfect.
Harrisons and a Harris, so
Yeah, two
Not bad.
Harrisons and a Harris and no backups for safeties. So Chris Boyd and Harrison Hand, you better get ready just in case they need you because this is legit, guys. There are no backups. They only have two safeties on the roster. Harrison
That's
Smith
not
and
gonna
Anthony Harris.
stick.
Yeah,
that's scary.
it's kind of scary. That was my question
They've
earlier.
gotta-
We were talking about Ben Gedeon being on the PUP list. I'm like, well, screw a linebacker coming back. Can we get a backup safety, like just one somewhere?
Anyone? Adam
Anybody.
Thielen, can you play safety? Just
Well, if we had any money left, we could
Drop-
take a
Is that
chance
they're
on
trying to
that guy,
negotiate with someone like Clinton Dix or someone that was released.
Mhm. If you had any
Maybe.
money left, that was the first guy I was going to say. You're not going to go after an Earl Thomas because he's going to want to start and he has issues. But a veteran, a nice veteran would have been great. But the Vikings have no money now, so who knows?
No money and
well,
still trying to
maybe-
work something out with Delvin Cook.
maybe we can ask the left tackle to take another pay cut. Hey, we need another safety.
Just take all the money away from Sean Mannion. He doesn't do
I'm
anything.
still surprised that they never approached Kyle Rudolph for a pay cut. I know that he had a really good season last year, but that guy's making some bank.
He is making a lot of money.
Since you said that, and we're recording, that means tomorrow he's going to restructure his contract, Adam. That happens to us every single time.
Guaranteed money and
It sure does.
Yeah.
More roster notes about the defense now. The Vikings defense will begin the 2020 season with a mix of established vets and exciting fresh faces. Hunter,
Hey.
Stephen, Barr, Kendrick, Smith, and Harris have all played at least 5 seasons for Mike Zimmer. Ngakoue is among the newest Vikings, but he is a former Pro Bowl selection. He has 37.5 career sacks and 14 forced fumbles. God,
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't watch that. That's his thing.
You forgot
Speed
this-
and ball out.
You forgot the special teams.
We're
Kicker,
going.
punter, long snapper.
no corners over the age of 23. That's weird.
Yeah, we're going down there. It's just I'm reading the notes as it goes along. The
Gotcha.
corners are young, none are over the age of 23. That's scary on paper, but it's better to have younger, fresher bodies in there. I'm sorry, man. I'm really not trying to poo-poo on Xavier Rhodes, but he was terrible last year. Always out of place, getting burned. I have more faith in guys that have to prove something than what he was showing us a year ago. Zimmer said Monday the Vikings could add safety depth behind the league's top duo. So that's good. They're open to it. He kind of understood people are going to.
They better be open to it.
You kind of have to be. You got to have something there. Special teams, Dan Bailey is the kicker. Punter and holder is Britton Colquitt. We love that duo. Please keep that around for another couple of years. Long snapper is Austin Cutting. Shout out Air Force. Kick returner, KJ Osborne. The backup is Abdullah. And the punt returner is also KJ Osborne. And the backups are BB and Hughes. So that's your.
There you go.
your unofficial
2020
depth chart.
Minnesota Vikings.
I'm
Really
excited to see
bad.
KJ Osborne on returns.
There's a lot of exciting new things for this team that we're hoping that goes in the right direction. It all depends on how. It all depends on the games, really. You know the talent's there. I just hope that these guys aren't. They don't have first game jitters because there's nothing. There's not even the preseason crap we can get out of the way. Like, oh, okay, cool. This is what the field's like, and this is cool. Like, there's a lot of people here. You don't get any of that. It's such a weird year for the guys that did a virtual draft, and they're not going to have any fans in the stadiums to start the year. So that's really weird.
Yeah.
But that's your depth.
I remember when I got to tour US Bank Stadium, and we were out on the field, and we were standing like in the middle of the field where the logo is, and just like looking up like all the way into the back of the stadium and everything. And it was me and my friend Mike, and we started laughing because I was like, I understand why Christian Ponder wanted to shit himself when he was out here in front of all of these fans, all of these people. Like, I can understand why you'd be nervous. So you're right. For those rookie players not having that opportunity to get in front of US Bank Stadium, in front of a packed house, is a big deal. There are going to be jitter. Well, I guess not, because there's not really going to be fans in the stadium. So I don't know how that's going to work out.
That's a lot. There's
I
going to
don't
be a
know
lot
how
of
much that
fans in
matters
there.
now. Yeah, the cardboard
Cardboard
fans. Are you going to pay
fans.
Are you going to pay $150, Adam?
Absolutely not. I mean, I know it's for charity and everything, but I just don't have that kind of expendable cash.
Join the club, man. I'm with you. I want to do it for charity, but I'm not. I have to put other things. I have to put that money somewhere else.
Got to pay the bills.
Talk about the schedule now. I didn't think the roster and stuff were going to take 40 minutes, but I'm glad that we put out a bunch of talk about the 53-man roster that was released a couple of hours ago. I'm just
undefeated.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
Undefeated. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
So here we have the Vikings schedule. This is off of Twitter. I kind of like this layout just because you can look at all the home games in yellow and the things we noted before, because we kind of hit on the schedule once or twice over the offseason. Down here in weeks 11, 12, and 13, there's a 3-week stretch of home games against some pretty, I don't want to say average because the Cowboys are very talented, but they're not so good teams from last year. The Panthers get to play Teddy Bridgewater again. The Jaguars have been pretty bad for a long time, minus a couple years ago.
The Jaguars have a fire sale going on. I don't know what's happening down there.
Yeah, they're
Who else do we want?
Running back and shipping out their best pass rusher, whatever.
Who else do we want from Jacksonville?
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody left. There's only like 3 players left from that 2017 team that went to the AFC Championship.
Give me Gardner as a back if I want him.
Oh, God, that'd be fantastic.
There you go. Let's do it.
So the thing here for me, I'm just going to go ahead and jump mine out of the way because I don't – this season, and I hate saying this because this is so generic, this season could go one of two ways. This could be a dumpster fire that could end up being 6-10, or this could be one of those rare like 12-4 seasons. Based on historically here, like the Week 5 matchup against Seattle, I don't like going to Seattle at all. We can never win there. We can't beat them at home either. I don't like this Week 16 Christmas game in New Orleans. I hate that. The Bucs are going to probably figure out their way, but I think they're going to have a shaky start, but they have too many good players to not be good. And this first stretch here, I mean, the Packers are good. Indy is super underrated. Tennessee was in the AFC Championship. Houston was in the playoffs last year. This first 5-game stretch is rough, but just to shut up and narrow it down for you guys, I have the Vikings going 11-5. I don't like the Indy game. I think they are a really talented team, and I think they upgraded even though they got Phillip Rivers, and he's kind of I don't like the Seattle game whatsoever. I don't like at Green Bay. We usually lose at Chicago, and definitely the Tampa Bay game, I don't see that going very well. I do see, however, the second half of the season, the Vikings getting in gear. You got to win these division games, though. If you drop at Green Bay and at Chicago, that's okay. You could still be 4-2 and win the division. But I have the Vikings at 11-5, and that's my prediction for the season this year.
I actually see it very similarly than the way you do, Mr. Smith, but I have 10 because I think that Minnesota can't stop the Titans' run. I don't think they can.
Ooh, good point. I think the only reason I did that as a win is because it's at home. And I kind of shamelessly, ignorantly did that because you usually have a home field advantage. And now that I'm thinking about it, the only thing that you're really battling this year is if you're traveling a long distance. Like the flight to Seattle is probably going to kick their ass a little bit. To Tampa Bay is probably not going to be fun. New Orleans, because you're flying a long distance and travel time. But you're right. That's a very good point. And you're not going to have that home field advantage like they do usually because it's so loud in there.
And I'll swap out your Indy win for the Saints loss. So seems like the Vikings only have the Saints number in the playoffs.
Andrew Latola is in here and says, I think we usually beat Rivers. No, you're right. They have a very, very good offensive line, and I like our defensive line, but they added a really good running back from Wisconsin, and they have some good weapons. I think it's obvious Philip Rivers is an upgrade over Jacoby Brissett, so you can kind of get not by a galaxy away, but usually we do beat Rivers. You're right.
It depends if we get good Philip or bad Philip.
Yeah, that's true.
Because bad Philip's really bad.
It's funny how I was just gonna say it's funny how we don't talk about our predictions beforehand. We just come up with them on our own, and then we're really close to one another, all three of us, with our predictions on what we are. I came up with 10-6, is what I had. This year in particular, I had a tough time with because we haven't seen any preseason, so we don't really. I don't really have a good feel for this team, especially because of how young the roster is and how many new players we have out there. Our second just be absolutely trash this season. I hope not, but it could be. So that could swing. That could swing some games either way, honestly. So I have Week 1 against the Packers as a win because as a Vikings fan, I am not predicting a loss to start the season against Green Bay. Not going to do it, can't do it, not going to do it. So we're going to beat Green Bay. I have us beating the Colts in Week 2. I think they can do it. I'm not really that worried about Phillip Rivers at quarterback. I think that I don't know. I'm just not too worried about them. The losses that I have are against the Titans in Week 3. I think that their run game with Derrick Henry is going to be too much for the Vikings defense.
Yeah.
In the season, I think that by the time the Vikings defense is going to start to get good, it's probably going to be after the bye week and coming out later on season form. So a loss there. I got a loss against the Seahawks because we every time we have a hard time going to Seattle and getting a win. So I got a loss there. I got a loss in Week 8 against the Packers. It's going to be a home game for Green Bay. That's another tough divisional opponent. I also have a loss in Week 10 against Chicago because we just can't win in Chicago, folks. That just never happens. I got the Week 14 loss against Tampa Bay. Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. Boy, I don't know. They could be like that dream team, Philadelphia team, where they're just absolutely awful. I doubt it because just the amount of talent that they have, they should accidentally be able to win some games. And then I also have that Week 16 loss against the Saints.
Yep. You know what's weird, too? Just talking about another team, and since we're talking about him now, I know Drew Brees is on his last – this has got to be his last season because he was thinking about hanging it up a couple years ago. But you notice how last year he got injured? It's kind of a weird thing because it was just his thumb. But I don't know, maybe we don't play Drew Brees.
It almost helped him.
Absolutely it did. Teddy came in and won them, 5 straight games? But I'm wondering if we're even going to play Drew Brees by the time that rolls around because – if he starts looking shit, or if he gets injured, Taysom Hill would be the biggest X factor, I think, on any team in the NFL. Because when he was in the game in the playoffs, there was no answer.
The Vikings have never had an answer for those gadget running quarterbacks. That's just historically we've always had a problem with them. I could see that. I'm also looking at this. I'm looking at the schedule going. You know, there's also that Week 9 game against the Detroit Lions, where I don't know what to expect from Detroit this year either. So I've got that one pegged for a win, but that one's going to be close. I could see that one. That's one that flip a coin that could go either direction with, too. I'm not really that worried about week 12 and 13. Sorry, Teddy and the Panthers. I'm not really too worried about you guys. Jacksonville, they're a dumpster fire. I'm not too worried about them. Week 17 against the Lions, I think that the Vikings are going to be gearing up and ready for the postseason, so I think they'll be able to pick the win up on that one too.
I think 10-6
week
will be good
4
for a
against
wild
the
card.
Texans. Yeah, I think that's good enough for a wild card.
And you remember this year, guys, there's 7 playoff teams, so the chances of them getting in is better than it was.
Oh, that's right.
So that's another thing to consider too. I do.
That's
think
a good point. That's a good point. I forgot about that.
Yeah, the talent that this team has on the roster alone should get them to around 7-9, 8-8, because the talent's there. They've got to overcome that hump. Like if they win in Seattle, I'll have a lot of optimism for this team. If they win in Chicago in the middle of November, I'll be impressed because they're historically bad there. There's a cool little thing that I'm checking here while Kyle is talking. From the November 8th game all the way down to December 20th, which is Detroit home, Chicago home, 5 out of 7 weeks there are home games for the Vikings. So right in the thick of the season, from that third quarter into that fourth quarter of the year, they're going to have a shitload of home games. And they're just historically, since this stadium was open, they've been a lot better there than they have been on the road. So I don't know. What do you guys feel? This team feels a lot like it could be from last year. I don't see a huge major drop off. There's a lot of young players, but they've acquired a bunch of good talent. They got a superstar and a trade. I think this is a pretty similar to the team that they had last year.
I don't know how they're going to match up against some of the other teams. Yeah, it's hard to tell. Like week 4 against Houston.
Yeah,
I have no idea how Houston's going to look this year.
I know they don't.
And
have
how that offense is going to match up against Minnesota. I have no idea. That game was a coin flip in my head.
Mm-hmm. I know.
A lot of them were that way too.
I totally hear you on that. The only reason I gave them a win there is they lost one of the best wide receivers in the game. Why the fuck would you get rid of DeAndre Hopkins?
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's kind of what I went with too on that one. The beginning part of this season is really difficult to predict because I really think it's going to take 4 or 5 weeks for teams to get into NFL ready shape. I'm worried that there's going to be an injury bug that's just going to hit the NFL just league wide because you haven't really seen teams. They've done a little bit of like padded scrimmage against one another, but players haven't been hitting one another full speed pads. And usually, you hit training camp, you hit preseason, you get your injury bugs that hit teams because of that. We haven't seen that this year because we haven't had that yet. So who the hell knows what's going to happen? Like anything else in 2020, it's all up, man.
It's so funny. I'm reading through Twitter where I shared this graphic with you guys earlier, and Skull Vikings 89. That's his thing. Win, L. Week 5, L, never win there. Week 10, L, same as Seattle, never win there. Week 14, toss up because Tom Brady. It's so funny how, like, the guys that have watched this team for a long time, they're like, yeah, we don't win there. Yeah, we don't win there either. That's so funny.
I mean, it... Or this could be the year that could surprise us, and this team could just be absolutely on fire, and like you said, they could pop off a 14-win season out of nowhere. Because they just caught teams at the right time, and this team's hot. They catch some other teams and catch them off guard.
Here's my thing
it's
about
possible,
Vikings.
man.
They're in a good window. Some analysts and some guys that do what we're doing right here professionally for a living, they said the Vikings are in a rebuild. Right. I totally disagree with that. They were in a cap strapped year where they had to get rid of some people, and I think it was also necessary to clean house from guys like Xavier Rhodes.
So
I like Trey Waynes, but they wanted to try out new young corners. Go ahead.
Okay, so see, that pisses me off a little bit because when New England, and I know they won a bunch of Super Bowls, that's why, but like when New England moves on from talent, they never get chastised for being rebuilding.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like Minnesota moved on from players they needed to move on from. Is that rebuilding, or is that just being smart with your roster?
Well, that's a good thing to your point, too, talking about a former Viking like Laquan Treadwell. God love the guy. We wish him nothing but the best. Atlanta, he didn't make the Atlanta roster after getting cut from the Vikings last year, and he didn't even make it to the official start of the season. And there are Viking fans on Twitter that are like, well, we should bring him back. Why? You didn't want him here when he was on the team.
Who? For who? For what?
I don't understand. But to go back on my little rant, if the Vikings are gonna do it, I think they have the roster and the coaches in place. I love that Kubiak is with the team. I love that Dom Capers is there, because for me that shows that Mike Zimmer is actually getting out of his own way and not trying to be too stubborn to where he gets fired, because that's why he's going to get fired, because he's too damn stubborn. But wait until it's, what week is it? When do we play the Saints? Week 16 against the Saints, and this team comes out with like 4 look and just confuses the hell out of them because we haven't done it all season, and we're like, that's why we signed Dom Capers. Yeah, right? The thing that you got to do is judge yourself on the good teams, and I'm not even going to put Seattle in there because Russell Wilson's the only thing keeping that franchise from drowning. I'm just going to say it.
The Packers, that team on his back.
The Packers win a lot almost every year. When Rodgers isn't hurt, they win double-digit games every year. The San Francisco 49ers are the team to beat this year in the NFC. Tampa Bay got really good because they did what the Heat and LeBron James did a long time ago. The Saints are usually pretty good, but for whatever reason, they can't get their shit together in the playoffs. How do they stack up against 3 or 4 teams? That's my question. Because they can beat a good team. We saw that last postseason. But when you get down to the nitty-gritty, like, oh, I beat the first boss in this game, now I got to move to the second boss, and then the big, mighty, 49ers are standing in your way. Cool. I don't know how they're going to do it against those huge teams, but this, to me, on the top end and the ceiling, this is an NFC divisional round or NFC championship team. Could they make the Super Bowl? Yes, if everything goes perfect. But as I've said before, just to be a Debbie Downer, I don't think they're going to be able to do that. They always seem to find like crumble on the pressure. But I did like things from like Kirk Cousins. That Seattle game last year wasn't a blowout like it was in years of recent. It was a very competitive game.
Prime time Kirk.
First half against the 49ers, they looked okay. So I don't know. I'm with you guys, though. With no preseason and not getting to see anyone get pushed on their butt or drop passes or whatever it is, who knows, man? I'm just excited that football is back.
Yeah, ESPN simulated the 2020 NFL season, and I thought it was really interesting because they had, in all of the NFC, only one team had 11 wins, and that was the best team in the conference. They had the Vikings at 10 wins, followed by the Lions, Bears, and Packers, all with 7.
Wow.
Yeah?
Sorry, I know I just talked for like 5 minutes. That's a weird thing you said because I don't know. A lot of people don't like Colin Cowherd. I'm kind of iffy about him anyways. But, Green Bay won 13 games last year, and he made a really good point that I saw. He goes, that wasn't a 13-win team. That was a 10-16 that got lucky on a couple of weeks. So
that's also Aaron Rodgers willing his way to 13 wins for that team.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is evolving, and I hate to say it, but he's becoming a quarterback that can make throws, but now he's happy to let them grind away the football on the ground. Yeah. And if that Green Bay Packers can continue with that strategy, you're going to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, Adrian Peterson would have been a good fit for them. I'm glad he didn't do it. But.
Thank God he didn't go there.
Well, you saw the Rhino that they drafted this year.
Oh, yeah.
I never skipped a leg day.
I got cash for my biceps.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of good interaction today, too. And we've had 4 or 5 people in for the hour we've been running now. Right. I don't really have anything else for the season.
Tell them about the Survival League.
Yeah, we're going to put that up.
Yeah, tell them about it.
Yeah. All right, so we sent out a link. If you go to our Facebook page, which you can find all of our stuff on these pages here, highly encourage all of you that are watching now that have commented, go like, go subscribe, and if you want to do the double whammy, subscribe to the Facebook or the YouTube channel, and then share it on your Facebook page for other Viking fans. That would make my day a lot better. But if you go to our Facebook page, we've pinned it at the top. There is a Yahoo Survival League, and this is different from fantasy football or whatever. You're going to get One team per week, the whole 17-week NFL season. Once you pick a team, you can't pick them again. So you need to choose. Hey, I know for a shadow of a doubt, the Rams are going to kick the crap out of the Bengals this week. I'm picking the Rams this week. You never get to pick the Rams again, and then you do that week on and on and on. Why should you do this? Because we here at the Purple People Podcast, if you end up winning this thing, we're going to send you a nice free swag bag. We're going to give you a Purple People Podcast shirt in your color and choosing and size, and we'll throw in some Vikings goodies in there. We've thrown in, cards or maybe a jersey or something like that, and it's free.
Yeah.
All because you decided to listen to this show.
And play along.
We'll send
we
you
enjoy
Adam
playing
Carlson
that every week. I love playing that. And the
we're
competition.
Adam will
I've been
come
forced
visit
to
your
throw it
house.
before, so please play hard, play smart, and don't make me throw a competition.
Yeah, Adam had to do that last year. I legitimately tried, and I made it decently far. Adam's really good at it, but if one of us happens to win it, we'll go with whoever's in second and go on fourth down in that.
No way, I want prizes.
Yeah, or not. Adam will say, screw you, I'm keeping all my stuff. But check out all the stuff down here below. That's for the whole Purple People Podcast, YouTube and Facebook. That's kind of where we're most active at. You're probably watching us through there right now. If you want to help out Mr. Adam Carlson, these are his handles. And I really want him to promote his Twitch because that's kind of lighting up and going on fire right now in a good way.
Yeah, I became an associate over there, an affiliate over on Twitch. It's a lot of fun. I can get subscribed to. I can get bits given to me. I can accept donations. But more importantly, I can have a nice community that comes in and has fun while I play games like Fall Guys or Jackbox games. And I'm going to try something a little different this week. I don't know if it's going to work because my internet out here is so bad. But Twitch has developed a Amazon Prime watch party on Twitch. So I don't know if it's going to be Thursday or Friday. But I think I'm going to try to stream the first Sharknado movie on my Twitch. So that could be fun.
That just made me think of Parks and Rec. Anytime I can throw Parks and Rec in Adam's face, I do it. Donna was tweeting about watching the movie, and she was live tweeting it, and that is the best thing I've ever heard. That's cool, though. Go support Adam. I don't have anything that I do on Twitch yet. I'm hoping to become a participant in that, but I created a Twitch just to help out Adam, and it's as simple as that. I don't have to get on there if I don't want to, but it helped inflate his numbers, and that's always cool.
It's true. And over on the Viking Age, there's good stuff. There's a great team that I have over there of writers that are constantly putting out great content, whether it's analysis or speculation or just plain strong opinions. It's a lot of fun to read. And of course, The Walking Dead is coming back strong in October. So if you're a fan of the zombies, it's worth heading over there and reading up about your favorite undead dramas.
Go check it out. And Kyle West does stuff on the side, and you should check it out because he's got a lot of cool things that you can buy, and they're not too expensive either.
Yeah, you should definitely check it out. I'm going to be adding a lot more fall-themed stuff because that is the time of year that we're coming into. So I got I added up a really cool black and white picture of an old football that I really liked. I thought that one was really neat. So that one's up there right now. You can check that out. We also got some Purple People Podcast merchandise, should you choose to want to get us on a t-shirt or a sticker or a magnet or a coffee cup or whatever. All that cool stuff on there too. So, yeah, you sure could. Because we all need those still.
Yeah, you're going to be needing those for a while. I don't know if you wanted to put your social media up there. If we want to, we can change it from next week. But I saw some of Kyle's recent photographs, and they're really cool. You took a picture of a door recently that was super interesting, and I couldn't get over what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
Kyle does all kinds of cool photography.
So I live in a small town. Like our downtown is just only a couple blocks long. Like I've walked up and down it a million times. I never realized the door to that building bright pink until just a day ago. I was like, huh, that's really cool. So I took a photo of it, and I'm like, huh, that's interesting.
Yeah, Kyle's been promoting his Twitter and his name here during the entire broadcast when his name pops up.
Yeah, there you go. You check me out over there on social media.
I'm promoting the alphabet. Learn it.
That's fantastic. If you guys think that you might want to be my friend on social media, this is me, Kyle Smith. This is my Instagram page. I'm on there all the time. Actually, uploaded a picture today from my adventures of the weekend down here in Texas. But this is all the stuff that we have going on the side. But that's pretty much it for the show. Really excited, man. The next time we talk, we will have a game to review. We'll have Game Balls and Donkeys coming back.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm excited.
Yeah. Vikings
I'll
football.
give a donkey to Matt Khalil right now. I don't even know if he's playing, but he deserves one.
I'm giving
Well,
a donkey
got-
to Paul Allen's
what?
hairstylist and eyebrow tweezers. Get your shit together, PA.
Oh,
10K or 10 million in dead money to Carolina for Matt Khalil this year. Ouch.
Oh, good for Matt Khalil, but good God. Oh,
On that
Oh.
note, I do want to thank
Is he-
everyone for joining us, hanging out, chatting, doing their thing. Of course, check us out on social media. Hang out with us. I don't know if we're going to be doing Discord this year. Maybe. We'll see.
I don't know
Possibly.
how to get into the account. So, we need to figure out how to get into the account.
which
But we'll
one?
see. We'll see how it works out. And on that note, thanks
Discord
again.
thing.
Ugh.
Thanks again, everyone. Remember to stay classy, Minnesota.